On to the other big story, the political story developing or brewing in Karnataka. What's happening in that state and what is the government trying to do? The Siddaramaiah-led government in Karnataka is facing opposition's ire for withdrawing cases against the infamous 2022 Hubbali riots. In its defense, the Congress has claimed that the case itself is false. So they've just decided for themselves. But it doesn't stop there. The Congress government has withdrawn cases against AIMIM leaders for pro-Hijab protests during the COVID-19 third wave, when there were protocols and publicly that you're not supposed to have these gatherings. AIMIM leader Zahiruddin Ansari and others had been booked for organizing a Hijab is our right kind of procession in Kalaburagi district. While the cabinet dropped charges against AIMIM leaders in the Hijab row, it denied withdrawing charges against Hindu students who were in favor of doing away with the hijab and said no hijab in school campuses and school protocol uniform should be followed. Now, this is despite the subcommittee recommendations. The government's alleged selective approach has sparked massive controversy. The opposition claims that the government on the one hand is overruling its state law and police department. On the other hand, it is overlooking the recommendations made by the subcommittee, which said on both ends, drop the cases. Now, Congress MLC B.K. Hariprasad says that the government should withdraw cases against those accused under the DJ Halli and KG Halli riots case, whom he calls innocents, ladies and gentlemen. Pradeep Bhandari, national spokesperson of the BJP with us, Sanket Yanagi, advocate with us, Anand Ranganathan, doctor, political commentator, author with us. Namaste and Jai Hind, gentlemen. So, how do you explain this, Sanket Yanagi ji? In your own wisdom, the subcommittee's one set of recommendations is set aside, the other set of recommendations is upheld, and B.K. Hariprasad has decided all these people are innocents with DG Halli and KG Halli.
The innocence and or otherwise of a person who has been charged with the commission of an offence cannot be decided before the trial. Once there is a charge sheet shows there are certain material evidences which has to undergo the trial. In the absence of the trial, the court can consider it under in exercise of its power under section 482 by the High Court or by the Supreme Court in further consideration of that matter. But the government to come to the conclusion at this stage, in my opinion, is a premature statement or premature decision. There are certain decisions which may have a larger social impact. Law is to discipline the society. If something is happening in the society which is affecting the law and order, and which is again affecting the order of the state, then the state has to be more stringent, irrespective of the community, irrespective of the political affiliation, irrespective of any other factors as such. But in a case where there may be certain recommendations even to withdraw, there may not be even to withdraw. But the state, in a welfare state more so, the government has to be more cautious and more responsible. For a moment, I would say that the government has taken a hasty decision which was not required to. Some people or some political parties may call it as a hasty decision, but some call it as irresponsible, some call it as a decision which was warranted to pursue or to in the wake of elections so far and so on. But my opinion is, as a common man, as a person who has learnt law, who has learned to respect law, I expect that a law has been made to be respected, and the state should not dwell itself into a situation where the breaking of law should be made as an order of the day. And I personally speaking, I do not agree with what the decision has been taken. Again, it is to be tested by the court of law. But I'm an independent person, not being the part of any political party. But I regret that no wisdom or wise decisions or wise application of mind has been applied in this case. But
so what has been applied? Let me ask you that. Since you're being very candid today, let me ask you, Sanket Yanagi, that what do you think has happened today? Is this not brazenly communalizing an issue? I will not even call it appeasement. It is nothing but open communal politics. Would you not say Hindus ke khilaf the cases remain, Muslims cases against Muslim leaders is being dropped? Is this not communal politics?
Honestly speaking, I do not have the privilege of being a cabinet party to the cabinet meeting. and I will not have any say of that. What weighed the most is something to be worried about, especially keeping aside the public interest or the morale of the public or the morale of the police or the investigating agency who are also the victims. So that, in my opinion, ought to have been considered by the government. Government is not just to look at one side, and government is to be, when we talk about Raj Dharma is something different than what is being practiced, unfortunately, here. Raj Dharma means treat everyone equally, listen to everyone, and the one who is a victim, you should be more considerate and you should listen to them more, and they must get justice. And here in a case, this is a different scenario altogether. Even the police are the victims, if I am correct.
Yes.
If that is the case, it will certainly affect the morale of the investigating agency or the agency which maintains the law and order in the state, and they are being taken for right. That's not expected at all from a society or from a government which talks about the rule of law. And I would say that this is something going to be a costly affair in a state of this nature at this country.
You're getting an applause from Dr. Ranganathan. Why Dr. Ranganathan? Did Mr. Sanket Yanagi surprise you with his position today?
Good evening, Anand, and good evening to my fellow panelists. No, I think the applause was not because Mr. Sanket has said something that is in variance to his earlier views. I think it was just basically something that he, as a lawyer and an officer of the court, said something that is expected of an officer of the court. Anand, if you could kindly get the echo corrected.
Yeah.
There's some echo coming. Thank you so much. No, a couple of points out here. Notwithstanding the fact that I would only be adding to what Sanket ji has said because I agree with him entirely. The fact of the matter is, where does the Indian state go from here, Anand? That is the more deeper issue that we must reflect on. I think we must stop commenting on anecdotal or incidents that happen from day to day. We must understand why this is happening, because this is happening with alarming regularity. This has been normalized by the state, and it might come as a surprise to my dear friend and brother Pradeep. It's been also indulged in by parties cutting across ideologies and party lines. BJP indulges in appeasement almost as much as other parties do. This is a disease, and I'll tell you what are the three stages. The first is selective welfare or welfare, then it progresses to warfare, and finally it ends with warfare. So when you have welfare, you selectively decide that Muslims are worse off than other communities, like the Prime Minister said erstwhile that Muslims have the first right to resources. Then you have blanket reservations, 4% reservations taken out of the OBC quota for Muslims, even though they might be billionaires, but they still get reservations. You have Hajj subsidies, you have scholarships selectively, Shadi Shagun schemes, you have 50% reservation, UGC funding them, so many other things. You have interest-free loans for shops to be set up on Waqf land. That's all taken care of under the garb of welfare. It progresses very smoothly to warfare, where you don't touch the Muslims, but you touch the minds of the Hindus. You poison them through self-loathing. They start hating Hinduism and Hindu culture. So you have things like Places of Worship Act, where Hindus can't even approach the court to reclaim their temples. You have the Waqf Act. You have so many other things that are anti-Hindu in the garb of appeasing the Muslims. You have roads and cities being named after Aurangzeb, barbarians. You have celebrating Tipu Jayanti, a mass murderer. And finally, you let off terrorists and rioters. That is what indulges in warfare, and that is what we are seeing right now. The appeasement has reached a level where the state is not even thinking. Just remember, the Supreme Court recently denied bail to 58 Coimbatore bombers, and they said we're denying them bail, and the DMK government let them off. And the pretext that they used, remember Anand, you ran a show on this, was that we are kind to Muslims. I'm paraphrasing them, but this is what their thing is. If you let off Muslim terrorists, you're actually being kind to Muslims, you're working for the Muslims. It has reached to that level, and I'm afraid this is just a reflection of that. Jinnah must be laughing, because this is what Jinnah said. If I do not get a divided India, I will have a destroyed India. He got the former. We are fulfilling his dream for the latter, Anand.
And Pradeep Bhandari, as you want to react to it, I'll tell you there is a place called Nalanda where the university has been redone. But the station still is Bakhtiarpur,
Yeah.
named after the person who destroyed it. And it's done under successive governments. So why is the BJP trying to say communal politics and all of that? You've not tried to correct anything anywhere. And the other thing is that the Congress party is openly, brazenly standing there and saying we bat only for one side. What's the BJP going to do about it?
Well, Anandji, on the station's naming, it will be definitely changed, and thank you so much. And you would definitely.
10 साल में तो नहीं बदला, अब कितने साल में बदले देखते हैं।
आनंद जी,
10 साल में तो नहीं बनाए, 10 साल में तो नहीं बदला।
जनता पार्टी से किसी को उम्मीद है और हम करके रहेंगे, आप निश्चिंत रहिए। But there's a larger point. I know Anand can disagree with me on the part of it, but it is a crime to be a Hindu whenever the Congress party is in power. That is the only truth which is there. Now please understand, it was a crime to be a Dhanush and a Maruti in Congress ruled Karnataka, but it was okay to be a Zahiruddin. The Congress party has made it clear that even in the case of Hubbali riots, the Congress party removed the cases against the rioters not because they were the AIMIM backers. They are not there because they were belonging to AIMIM, because they were belonging to one particular community. And is it for the first time the Congress party has done? No, absolutely not. What did the Congress party's Home Minister G. Parmeshwar said in Rameshwar Blast case? That it is not a big blast, it's a business rivalry. Why? Because he was fearing that the accused might be from his particular vote bank. What did the Congress party do at the birthplace of Lord Hanuman at the Anjani Hills? It removed the lamppost having Lord Hanuman's preachings on it. What did the Congress party do in the case of Ganesh Puja? You know, 36 departments need to approve Ganesh Puja if you want to do Ganesh Puja in Karnataka. That's the Congress party. It snatched the rights of the OBCs and gave it to the Muslims in Karnataka. This is why we are calling the Congress party is the modern Muslim League. Now, this is not for the first time, and I'll tell you why it is a part of a strategy. If you remember, the Congress party spokesperson, Dr. Shama Mohammed, tweeted something on August 9, 2024, and then she suddenly deleted it. And it said that at the end of the day, it is the only one community which stands with the Congress party and supports the Congress party. It's the Muslim community. So, which means that in order to appease its vote bank, the Congress party could back the terrorists. That is why Sonia Gandhi batted for the Batla House. In order to appease its community, the Congress party takes back the cases against the rioters in Hubbali. In order to appease its community, the Congress party does not stand with the students in Karnataka, but stands with the AIMIM supporters in it. Because the genesis of it is what Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar said, and I'll end with that. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar on 27th October 1951 said in a speech in Jalandhar, and I quote Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar when he was speaking on Jawaharlal Nehru's attitude, he said, "Nehru has developed a fascination for Muslim votes and has become harsh towards Dalit. Nehru has believed and has turned into," this is the Babasaheb Ambedkar's word, "Muslim maniac and Muslim obsession." So the entire vote bank genesis is the Congress party. This is what we are fighting on. We are fighting against this selective secularism. You can criticize us on certain welfareism, but what you cannot criticize us is that we will always stand with Sanatan Dharma and will always uphold the Constitution of India.
Good to have the Sanatan Dharma and Constitution plugged there, but Mr. Pradeep Bhandari, you again said OBCs versus Muslims. So you again broke the Hindu community under caste.
No, we did not.
No, just now in your argument.
No,
In just against OBCs you said OBCs are not Hindus.
No.
In your own lexicon you break down the Hindu community.
I did not.
But you didn't say which of the Shia, which of the Hindus, Muslim sect was the one that they were batting for. So Muslims are again grouped and spoken as one, while Hindus are broken down and spoken. One minute. By the BJP itself.
Absolutely not.
By the BJP itself. You just now use the same words. Against OBCs is what you said. Again, so the game of caste dynamics is being fallen and you're walking into their own trap.
Anji,
one minute. I didn't speak when you were speaking. So hear me out. So you are also trapped in the same lexicon is what I'm saying. So unless you change that lexicon, things are not going to change. Now, so you are not talking about, you are also bunching up the entire Muslim vote bank. Are they looking at the entire, which Muslim vote bank? Who are these Muslims? Are they Sunni Muslims, Shia Muslims, Aga Khani, Yar Pasmanda, Sayyadi, Ashrafi? Who are these people? You are not talking that language. Okay. But again with Hindus, so we are a Hindutva party, we consider everybody Hindu, whoever believes this geographical land is Hindu. But then you say OBC, Dalit, Brahmin, Jat, you also use the same lexicon. So then how are you any different from the Congress? You are speaking their lexicon. I'm just making an observation. Sanket Yanagi, you put your hand up. Dr. Ranganathan coming to you after Sanket Yanagi.
Okay, allow me to respond to that.
First of all, irrespective of any community, whether it's Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Jat, be that as it may, what matters in a country like India, which is progressing day by day, which is looking at new adventures, in whether it's in terms of science or in terms of culture or be that anything else. When we are growing day by day, what should be our focus is only the growth and togetherness. One who is playing with that, irrespective of the caste, irrespective of the political affiliation, one who is playing with the rule of law and the order in the society, he should not be spared. Whether it is Hindu or Muslim or be it of any religion, the one who violates the law is a criminal. He should be tackled with the stringent provisions of law, irrespective of the party in power.
Do you believe that successive Siddaramaiah governments have done that, Sanket Yanagi, or have they violated this cardinal rule that a criminal is a criminal and there should be no sides taken?
Sitting at this corner, if I refer to several states, every state ruled by different political parties, the scenario is one and the same.
I agree. I'm with specific to Karnataka. I'm just I buy your point, sir, that there are other political parties. So I am saying with Mr. Siddaramaiah, do you believe he is guilty that earlier he set off the cases of more than 400 people of the PFI and SDPI linked cases which were there, and then there was this entire lopsided opinion pushing in the case of Gauri Lankesh's death. The other thing is now what he's trying to do with his government is trying to do with these cases, Hubbali. Then you have BK Hariprasad talking about DG early, KG early. I'm just saying, have they actually walked the talk on the line that you drew? That criminals are criminals and law should be equal for all. Do you believe?
Yes, let me answer your question. It is pertinent too. When I was with political party Congress at that moment, during the campaigning I said, law and order, the problem dealing with the law and order, one has to maintain the Raj Dharma, irrespective of political affiliations, religion also. I maintained that stand throughout my tenure in the party. And I said, irrespective of community, we should stand and we should see to it that everyone should be respected, everyone's sentiment should be respected, everyone should live in a place which is made to live. But if it is crossing the line, be it of any religion, it may not be acceptable to the prudent man in the society.
Correct.
Society, at the end of the day, expects from everyone the harmony, peace, and togetherness. If it is affected,
point taken. Now, I just want to ask you, Sanket Yanagi, before I go to Dr. Ranganathan, that if the political dispensation of the day decides to pardon an incident and pardon the accused or those who are involved in a flare-up, should they pardon only one side or should everybody be pardoned?
First of all, my question is, what is the public interest prevailing them which should take such a decision?
Brilliant.
No,
let's say there is a subcommittee. There is a subcommittee recommendation that's
let me answer your point. There is one point I would like to add.
Jay.
Assuming for a moment some people are protesters and they are peacefully protesting for the rights and they have got a constitutional or legitimate or legal right. They may be protesting, they may be against the government and its schemes, but they have got a right too for which they are seeking for some attention. But if they enter into violent arena or violence or disrupt the peace and order, that's not the purpose of protest.
Correct.
That will not count as a protest.
Correct.
So there must be a demarcating line between anything which we do in the guise of protest. Be it of any religion, be it of any...
Totally agree. But I'm just saying, if there is a subcommittee recommendation which says, okay, pardon the sides. There is a recommendation, okay, these things happened at that time, but right now I think we should let things by, water under the bridge and let pardon. And if the dispensation pardons only one side while continuing to hold on to the cases and charging the other side, then is that not brazen communal politics? Dr. Ranganathan.
First of all, Anand, I don't know what you're trying to do. Are you trying to get Sanket ji raided by Siddaramaiah ji? I think this is the maximum we can get out of him. He's been very kind, very refreshing. He said all the right things. I loved it to see a smile. On a lighter note.
He's an able lawyer. So if there is one person in this 4 windows that is on the screen who can ably defend themselves against any raid or anything, it is Sanket Yanagi. In fact, we will have to lean on his services too.
100%.
Push comes to them. Go ahead.
I hope he charges you and does it pro bono in my case, Anand. See, there is absolutely nothing wrong that Pradeep said, my good friend. Nothing wrong. Except for the fact that Congress is not in power. Pradeep, we know for a fact that Congress is pro-Muslim, anti-Hindu. I can give you hundreds of instances. But that was one of the reasons why it was booted out and you were booted in. Now, is it or is it not a fact? All what you said is absolutely right. But is it also not a fact that for 15 years, under the BJP, state governments and central governments, you were giving 4% blanket reservations to Muslims? Is it not a fact that your central government is giving interest-free loans to Muslims to set up shops on Waqf land? Is it not a fact that UGC is funding minority Muslim institutions when they reserve quota for Muslims? Is it not a fact that you are giving Shadi Shagun schemes? Is it not a fact that you are continuing with all the wrongs that the Congress did, including controlling Hindu temples, having the Waqf Act, having the RT amendment in conjunction with 93 amendment that is forcing only the Hindu-run schools to give reservations? So my good friend, while you are absolutely right that the Congress indulged in blatant appeasement, please prove me wrong that you are not continuing with that same appeasement.
Okay, final word. I've got to wind up after this. Yeah.
Anand, absolutely not. We're continuing with the same appeasement on the part of, and I'll just demonstrate it with one simple example. You spoke of Waqf and write it down and record this. This will be the Prime Minister Narendra Modi led government, the BJP led government, which will ensure that the earlier Waqf Act 1954-1995 is amended and it gets you justice, and it is no longer an appeasing act where the land of non-Muslims are also taken away by land mafia. So yes, we will act on it. On the part of state governments and governments having a control on Hindu temple, that is also a matter of discourse and discussion which will also be acted on at due process of time. But remember, Anand, there is a youth psyche which has changed. There was an earlier government which used to call 2611 as an RSS ki sajish. Today you have this government which takes forward the Sanatan pride. And in Karnataka, Anand, it is not the Bharatiya Janata Party government, it is the Congress government which knows that it can divide the Hindu communities in Lingayats and Kurbas. In fact, last time it was